Listen now and hold your breath, because this is a story the elders only whisper when the lamps are low and the wind presses its mouth against the doors. This is the story of a village that learned too late that monsters are not always born with claws and saviors do not always come with clean hands. In the low valley of Irua, where the earth is black and the moon rises like a watching eye, there stood a village stitched together by fear and prayer. A place where dogs howled at nothing, and children learned early not to answer their names after sunset. For the night in Irua did not simply fall, it crept. And when it crept, it whispered. And in those whispers, people disappeared. Bodies were found hollowed and twisted in the cassava fields, throats torn as if by beasts, yet marked by something disturbingly human. And for 7 years the village bled itself dry, trying to name the thing that hunted them. They blamed forest spirits, cursed widows, jealous rivals, even the ancestors. But the deaths only worsened. And it was during the 8th year, when hope had thinned to a thread, that the orphan returned. Her name was Naira, she was 18, and the road spat her out like something the world had failed to swallow. She came barefoot, carrying nothing but a ragged satchel and eyes too old for her face. And the elders stiffened when they saw her, because Naira was the child who should have died, the girl born on a night when the moon bled red and the midwife went mad before dawn, the girl whose parents were found torn apart in their hut when she was 5, a crime blamed on the same unknown terror that now stalked the village. And after that night, Naira vanished into the forest. And now she walked back as if the forest had finally grown tired of her. The whispers grew louder the night she returned. Some said the wind called her name, others said it screamed it. The village chief, old Kofa, smiled too quickly and welcomed her with open arms, while his eyes measured her like meat. Greed lived behind that smile because Irua had learned that tragedy could be profitable, and a returned orphan was both a symbol and a weapon. But not everyone welcomed her. Mama Sola crossed herself and spat, saying the forest never gives back what it takes unless it is poisoned, and children hid behind doorposts when Naira passed because animals watched her differently. Goats went silent, dogs whimpered, and crows followed her steps. That first night, another villager died. Emaniki, the palm wine tapper, was found hanging upside down from a tree, his chest split open, heart missing, and carved into his back was a symbol older than language, and panic bloomed like rot. The villagers whispered that the killings had resumed because Naira had come back. They whispered that she was the beast, that she had learned to wear human skin, and Naira heard every word. She always did, because the first truth of her life was this. Naira was a shapeshifter. The forest had not taken her, it had awakened her. On the night her parents died, she had shifted for the first time, claws bursting through soft hands, bones rearranging in agony, fur flooding her skin like fire. And she remembered the taste of blood and the horror of realizing it was her parents' blood. She remembered hiding in the forest, sobbing and shifting uncontrollably, hunted by guilt and fear until an older thing found her. Something ancient and cruel and patient, a spirit that wore many skins and taught her control in exchange for obedience. It told her the village had already chosen to sacrifice her, that the elders had called the forest spirit to claim a child to protect their harvest. And when the spirit came, they offered her parents instead. But fate twisted the bargain, and Naira became both offering and curse. For years she served the forest spirit, shifting into beasts to hunt those it marked, learning the hunger that came with power, learning how easily humans broke. And when she finally broke free, she was no longer a child. She returned to Irua not to save it, but to end something unfinished. The deaths that resumed were not her doing, not at first. Something else had grown bold, something that had learned from her absence. Because greed had its own shapeshifter, Chief Kofa, and the council had discovered long ago how fear could be shaped, how sacrifices could be hidden behind legends, and how blood could fertilize wealth. They had been feeding the forest with bodies, selecting villagers they deemed useless, blaming the killings on a monster to keep the people obedient, but over time the ritual changed them. The power they stole twisted their souls, and Kofa learned a darker secret, that by wearing the skins of the dead during the ritual, he could borrow their strength, their faces and their voices. He became a man who could be anyone, and the villagers never noticed that those who opposed him always vanished. When Naira returned, Kofa saw both a threat and an opportunity. He spread rumors quietly, nudging fear toward her, while planning to offer her as the ultimate sacrifice to bind the village forever. Betrayal wore friendly faces. Even Damu, the boy who once shared stolen yams with her, now a guard, watched her with suspicion, sharpened by ambition. But Naira felt the wrongness beneath the village like a wound that would not close. And when she followed the whispers into the night, she discovered the truth piece by piece. She saw Kofa change skins beneath the moon. She saw the council chant with mouths full of ash. She saw villagers led screaming into the forest and never return. And something inside her snapped. The girl who wanted peace died quietly. The beast who wanted justice stretched its claws. The violence that followed was not clean, not heroic. It was messy and loud and soaked the earth. Naira hunted the hunters, shifting from shadow to shadow, from woman to wolf to something nameless, tearing guards apart, breaking bones with her hands, letting screams echo so fear would finally learn its true master. But betrayal cut deepest when Damu led a mob to her hiding place, pretending remorse, offering safety, and then bound her with iron charms, dragging her before the village to be burned. And as the fire licked her skin, the forest answered her rage. She shifted in the flames, flesh melting into fur and scale, the fire feeding her instead of killing her. And the villagers ran as their goddess and their devil rose screaming from the pyre. Kofa tried to flee wearing another man's face, but Naira smelled him, dragged him back, and forced him to change in front of everyone, skin peeling, secrets spilling. And the village learned the final betrayal, that the monster they feared wore the face they trusted most. Naira did not spare him. She did not spare the council. Blood filled the square, bones cracked, and when dawn came, Iruwa was quiet for the first time in years. The whispers gone, the wind empty, Naira stood alone among the dead, victorious and hollow. The villagers who survived knelt, calling her savior, but she laughed, a sound full of grief and teeth, because she knew the final truth, that villages like Iruwa always grow new monsters, that fear is fertile, and that she herself was now a story parents would use to scare their children into obedience. She walked back into the forest as the sun rose, leaving behind a village that would never be the same. And if you listen closely when the wind brushes your ear tonight, you might hear her footsteps, or you might hear your own name. Because some stories do not end, they only learn new shapes.